Hi everybody from New York, I'm Josh Skinner for WithJosh.com, and with me is a very special guest, Lieutenant Dan Choi. Dan, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me, and it's an honor for me to sit across from you here in New York City, to fly all the way from LA to give you more than just a soundbite. I really wanted to dig in, and I wanted to hear your side of the story, an in-depth interview, and I appreciate that you would take the time to meet with me.
Well, thanks. It's a relief to not have to talk in just quick 30-second tidbits here and there.
People aren't familiar with who you are. You are a graduate from West Point. You've served in the war. You were one of 8 Arabic linguists
In my class.
in your class, and you were fired for publicly coming out saying that you were gay. When you hear reporters or journalists or people like me say your resume so casually like that, what is the first feeling that you have?
Well, I never identified with all of those specific characterizations all at once. So to hear it that quick.
Because we're talking about a journey, we're not just talking about 1, 2, 3 and bye. This is years of work that you've had. This has been your life.
All of our journeys are based on our identities and who we are on the inside. Even going into the Army, we would say that the Army doesn't change you into a different person. It just brings out what was already there by putting you through the fire, by testing your will to keep going on, by challenging you. You discover what you really had deep down inside. And I think that's what the journey is for me. That's a journey of life, that people get to fully understand what they are, who they are, what they're made of. When you see injustice, it is your moral obligation. It is your Christian duty, Jewish duty, your Muslim duty, your Hindu duty, your atheist duty. All of those ideas that have been put out that still believe in justice, that still believe in doing what is right over what is personally comfortable.
Why do you think the government and America and a lot of people, why do you think they have such a problem with openly gay people in the military?
I think a lot of people in the military don't actually have an issue with gay people. They know gay people. The majority of people who serve in the military, 18 to 25 years old, this is the generation that is comfortable with gay families and gay rights.
But why do you think they care about who you love or who you have sex with? Why is it any of their business? If you want to die for your country, that's what I'm trying to understand.
I think it's become something of a profitable business venture for a lot of people.
Religious organizations?
Of course, but it doesn't have to just be religious, although it's become more lucrative in that arena. I think there are a lot of people who play on that fear, that human fear of the other. This kind of immoral xenophobia that says, if you're different from me, then you are inferior to me, or you're trying to hurt me in some way. And I think that it's not only unfounded, but it's nothing new. There have been programs of hatred and bigotry that have been imbued in our political systems throughout our entire human existence. Slavery and the extermination of certain ethnicities, the Holocaust, the subjugation of women, deportation of less desirables, immigrants, or people who are just simply different. And homophobia and policies like Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or the segregation of marriage, and the kinds of inequalities that we see today with civil unions, that's all a continuation.
If you could change a heart, other than obviously what you're doing, to make them look at it differently.
Yeah,
so they look at you as a man, not just as a gay man who was fired from the military. What would you say to these people?
I think there's a lot of people who see it as just a political lobby effort. But in my journey, I never thought that I would be living to see this day, to see myself age to 30 years old.
Because you thought you were going to die in the war?
Because I thought I was going to commit suicide for being gay, because I didn't know if my life was worthwhile, if I could ever live with the measure of dignity that I thought was afforded to everyone. I devoted myself to the military. I found comfort and solace in the idea of giving my life for a greater cause. And sometimes because I didn't necessarily value my right to exist. That's the oppression. That's the full measure of oppression. That homophobia, either on the playground or in legislation. That's the result. But I'm glad that I did. And our message has to be to all of those people who simply don't understand. It is because we love this country. It's because we love even our opponents enough to tell them that I'm not going to count you out. I'm not going to just write you off. I think even though right now you're anti-gay, even though right now you think this is just some kind of political decision, I love you enough to give you a chance to keep on speaking. And my major motivation to keep doing that when it gets too difficult is always those kids who write me letters, Korean kids, people from all over the world, military people. They said that they didn't know that they could continue going on. And when they found that we started our group of West Point graduates who are gay or transgender, they said, you know what, I'm going to survive this combat, I'm going to survive this basic training, I'm going to fulfill my military obligation, I'm going to keep charging on, I'm going to hold my head up higher because I know that there's somebody else out there. And the message to all of them, more than my message to Obama or Reverend Choi or to any of the people who disagree with me, my message to all of the people who are of the mindset that they're alone is very simple. You're not alone. There's so many of us that have gone through exactly the same thing. And our only message to you is that you should hold on when you feel like giving up. You should keep on going, and you need to forget about your own pain. And that is very difficult for those who are victimized, but as I've learned, the only antidote for victimization is confrontation on behalf of others. When you think of all of the others, then you realize that the sadness or the despair that's in your soul, you can't do that just by having more despair. You can't get rid of it just by being more sad. You get rid of it by using your situation, your pain and torment, to help somebody else. And once we keep doing that and we adopt that as our ethic, our movement is unstoppable.
Wow. I'm going to end there because that, number one, gives me a lot to think about. And I know if I'm being affected this way, then a lot of you out there right now are being affected as well. I appreciate what you're doing. I think what you're doing is very important, and I appreciate your passion. And most importantly, I appreciate the fact that you had the will to live, and that your story is worth telling, and that you're changing lives, and you're giving people something to think about. If you want more information on Lieutenant Dan Choi, just look below for his website. You can also follow him on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching this exclusive from New York City on withjosh.com. I'm Josh Skinner.